1. Animal packs. Many species of animals establish packs, which can be either large or small and may consist of members of the same family or unrelated animals. Lions and wolves typically roam in packs in which every animal is a family member, while large herd animals in Africa, including wildebeests and zebras, do not contain only related animals. A typical pack contains both leaders and followers. The primary leader is the alpha, any subordinate leaders are betas, and the omega is at the bottom of the pack's hierarchy. So alpha, beta, and omega. Depending upon the species, the alpha could be male or female, but generally the biggest, strongest, or oldest, or some combination of those three is the alpha. For instance, the strongest and oldest male gorilla, called a silverback, is the alpha of its group. With regard to lion prides, the alpha is the strongest male, capable of protecting the females and cubs. In most cases, the alphas receive preferential treatment from the other pack members, and they virtually always get first choice of any food acquired in addition to the largest portions. An alpha may, however, lose its status when it is challenged and defeated by another member of the pack, whereupon it is either killed or driven off, so must live elsewhere. The second in command of an animal pack is the beta, which for dogs and wolves is a strong male that is less powerful than the alpha. The majority of challenges to the alpha's position come from the beta, and when the alpha dies, the beta commonly takes over as the new alpha. At the opposite end is the omega, the animal deemed the weakest member by the rest of the pack. The omega is subservient not only to the alpha and beta, but also to every other pack member. Among dogs, for example, when the alpha approaches, the omega acts in a fawning manner by wagging its tail and lying down, so it exposes its belly. The omega is usually shy and avoids confrontations with the other pack members, so is considered no threat to the alpha's position. Alpha, it means it is, where is it? It is omega. Adam Smith's views on economics. Scottish economist Adam Smith is widely considered. Paragraph 1, the author's description of Adam Smith mentions which of the following. The father of modern economics. His 1776 work, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, more commonly shortened to The Wealth of Nations, has had an enormous influence on economic theory and policy from the time it was published to the present day. Smith is particularly noted for his argument that free market economies are superior to controlled economies, as well as his writing on the division of labor. He was a leading figure in the Scottish Enlightenment, and his work is often cited as being among the most influential in history. The thoughts of his have had the greatest effect on the field of economies. The manner in which he hoped free market economies would be used by countries. The manner. The role he played in influencing other members of the Scottish Enlightenment. The role he played in influencing other members. It did say he was a leading figure in the Scottish Enlightenment, but not influencing other members. The arguments that he employed using, I think it's A. Francis Hutchinson in paragraph 2, in order to. Smith was educated at the University of Glasgow, where he studied philosophy, and he later did postgraduate work at Oxford University. He became an instructor at the University of Glasgow and taught rhetoric, logic, and philosophy. Smith's mentor, Francis Hutchinson, a professor at the University of Glasgow, had a major effect on Smith's career path and later writings. It was during Smith's tenure there that he began formulating his theories on economies, which would later bring him worldwide fame. The Wealth of Nations is an examination of the economic forces at work in early industrial Britain, as well as a study of the forces influencing economics as a whole. In the work, Smith records his belief that the government should play a minimal role in the economy. This is the concept of the free market, in which people act in their own self-interest with as little governmental interference as possible. Smith describes the invisible hand or self-interest that acts as a guiding force in a free market economy. He argues that people do not manufacture or sell goods because they are benevolent, but instead because they are eager to make a profit. As each person works to earn money, that individual provides goods and services others require. When people work together in this manner, they drive the economy and create wealth for their nation. Another important idea about which Smith wrote was the concept of the division of labor. Smith pointed out that it required 18 different steps for a man to make a single pin, so he could therefore make only a few pins each day. Yet if there were many workers, each of whom was doing either a single step or a few steps in the manufacturing process, Smith claimed that they could make a much larger number of pins in a single day. Many workers. Adam Smith is one of the most noted economists in modern times, and is particularly famed for his work on free market economies and the division of labor. The eliminating of dams. Dams are constructed for numerous reasons, the most common being to divert water for agricultural and to harness the power of flowing water to produce electricity. Nonetheless, while dams provide numerous benefits, they can harm the environment by disrupting the natural flow of water and therefore damage river ecosystems. They additionally hinder the passage of fish upriver and downriver and prevent people from using rivers for recreational purposes. Despite most dams having fish ladders, not all fish are capable of navigating them, and so they die in large numbers. Furthermore, dams slow the water flow in rivers, and large amounts of silt, gravel, plant matter, and other debris accumulated behind them, and these combine to distort the characteristics of their rivers. These facts have led some people to conclude that certain dams should be eliminated and their rivers permitted to flow freely. Negative effects of dams. So some negative effects would be harming the environment by disrupting the natural flow of water, damage river ecosystems, hinder the passage of fish, them slow the water flow, and these combine to distort the characteristics of their rivers. This is true. They change the nature of their rivers because of the matter depth rate. They prevent their rivers from flowing like normal and therefore alter their, they cause species to die out because so much that they become extinct. I didn't say extinct. Removing a dam is not easily accomplished, though, as caution must be taken. Removing a dam is not easily accomplished, though, as caution must be taken to avoid harming the river's fragile ecosystem further. And there exists the possibility of a sudden surge of water going downriver and flooding the land alongside the river, which could cause considerable damage. Thus, great care must be taken when removing a dam. There are two primary methods used to eliminate dams: blowing them up or using machinery to break them apart. Destroying them with explosives is the quickest and simplest way, yet has the most potential for trouble. This method is used only when a dam is located in a remote region where explosive devices will not damage any nearby dwellings. As for employing machinery, it is a more time-consuming and expensive process but is safer. Whichever method is utilized, some preliminary steps must be taken. First, the water in the reservoir behind the dam must be drained. This can be accomplished slowly through the dam's own spillways, but in some cases, such as the Glines Canyon Dam on the Elwha River, which was removed in Washington in 2011, the spillways are too high and cannot drain all the water. For that, dam holes had to be cut into its base to drain the water. When the water is gone, the silt and other debris behind the dam must next be removed. Occasionally, the silt is too deep and has too much mass to remove cheaply, so the river is simply diverted around the silt bed. Once the water is at a roughly equal level in front of and behind the dam, or if the water has been diverted around it, the destruction of the dam can proceed. After a dam is destroyed, it may take a long time for the river system to rebound, and the removal of the dam itself may create additional problems. In 1973, the Fort Edwards Dam was removed from the Hudson River in New York, and a major environmental disaster ensued. Behind it was a huge mass of contaminated silt containing deadly chemical poisons. The dam had trapped the silt, but after it was gone, the polluted matter flowed downriver, and it soon destroyed part of the river's ecosystem by poisoning the fish in the water. Subsequent efforts to clean the river have lasted for decades and required the expenditure of a great amount of money. The harmful chemicals that the dam has been holding. Since some dams harm their rivers, it becomes necessary to remove them, though through several different methods. So, city design in ancient Rome. The Romans were among the greatest builders in ancient times. Across their entire enormous empire, they constructed roads, amphitheaters, aqueducts, and numerous other structures. And the cities they founded were often the predecessors of more modern ones. The Romans planned their cities carefully, and the design and construction of each of them reflected their social and economic needs while simultaneously showcasing their architectural style and engineering methods. It is a testament to their skill as builders that large numbers of their structures still exist in Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East today. Some early Roman cities, including Rome itself, developed in a haphazard manner and featured numerous irregularities in their design over their long history, but most of the later ones were designed in a similar manner. Built in a haphazard manner, random. Which of the sentences below was... As the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire later expanded, its soldier marched through the countryside and established military camps, which were often the precursors of towns and cities. Each town and city was laid out in a standard pattern, a square with streets in a grid pattern that intersected at right angles. Oftentimes, two major streets bisected the town or city in a north, south, east, west direction and met in the center in a great square called a forum. The forum served as the economic and social center of the city. In addition, there were typically two diagonal streets that cut across town or city and met in the center. The major streets were wider than the regular ones, which were of a uniform length. The grid pattern and the similarity of the street designs were necessary to enable soldiers easily to move to any point in the city to defend it. Most Roman cities, especially those founded in the later years of the empire, had walls and towers for defense. The walls had four main gates, one at each end of the two main roadways. While these defenses protected the people out of the city, they had a negative effect by limiting how much it could increase in size. The Romans also built every city alongside a river or near a source of water. The river flowed through the city, and additional water was transported from nearby hills or mountains by large aqueduct systems. Most Roman cities had extensive piping systems used to bring in water and to carry away sewage. While most people bathed and got drinking water from public facilities, wealthier citizens had water piped directly into their homes. Types of defensive. According to paragraph 4, there were wells near the insulae because urban life centered domus. Insulae and domus. Urban life centered on a block that was enclosed by 4 streets. These blocks contained apartment buildings called insulae, which stood several stories high. The blocks of insulae were the equivalent of modern-day urban neighborhoods. And the majority of the common people, the plebeians, lived in them. An insula lacked indoor water and sewage facilities, so its residents had to carry their water from nearby wells and cart their sewage to various dumping points. Because an insula lacked indoor water and sewage facilities. A larger type of home known as domus was where wealthy individuals lived. They always resided in separate areas from the poorer citizens. Markets and businesses were established near insulae, so large cities had several commercial districts serving entire groups of blocks. However, the forum in each city was almost the primary center of commerce and politics and was therefore constantly busy. In some cases, there was so much traffic in the busiest parts of the city that those areas became congested at certain times of the day. As a result, traffic could be restricted in some areas. Commerce and politics, so busy. Commerce and politics. OBC. In paragraph 5, why does the author mention present-day horse racing tracks? Every Roman city had several other common structures. Barracks for the city's present-day horse racing tracks. Barracks for the city's soldiers were standard, as was a temple for religious functions. Other buildings were theaters, amphitheaters, and basilicas, and the largest cities each had a circus. The theaters were utilized by actors putting on dramatic performances, while the Romans used amphitheaters to watch games such as gladiatorial contests. The basilicas served as places for people to engage in legal and business dealings, and the circuses were the equivalent of present-day horse racing tracks. One last building that featured prominently in Roman towns and cities was the Forum. a storehouse containing large amounts of grain, oil, wine, and other foodstuffs. This was a building storehouse. Those were the places where the Romans helped